Hello and welcome to our Nigerian viewers and viewers across the world. This is Galaxy TV News. Let's get things started. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, debunks reports that he likened IPOB and Yoruba Nation agitators with Boko Haram insurgents and ISWAP. Plus on the news, appeal court sitting in Abuja reserves ruling concerning empowerment of states to collect value-added tax, VAT. And outside Nigeria, France suspends about 3,000 unvaccinated health workers. Those are our top stories. We have details in just a moment. And now, wherever you're watching from around the world, we are live from our headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. I am Kelly Egiga. On our first story, President Muhammadu Buhari has declared his administration's commitment to use football for the development of the girl child and inspiring young people to have rewarding careers in the game. Receiving the FIFA delegation led by its president, Gianni Infantino, and the president of the Confederation of African Football, CAF, Patrice Motsepe, at the State House on Thursday, the president called on the football's world-governing body to see Nigeria as one of its greatest assets when it comes to the development of football. On women's football, the president expressed delight that Nigeria has produced excellent role models to inspire the next generation of stars to take up the sport.
We are particularly in agreement with the latest FIFA initiative, the FIFA football development at the grassroots using technology. Nigeria has already keyed into this program. Your visit to Nigeria is a recognition of Nigeria as a football powerhouse with abounding talents. It is also a demonstration of FIFA's commitment to help with the development of football in Nigeria.
In his remarks, the Minister of Youth and Sport Development, Sunday Dare, said Nigeria, as the leading black nation in the world, was central to all that FIFA is seeking to achieve in its football development plan. While FIFA President Gianni Infantino renewed FIFA's commitments to support the development of football in Nigeria, pledging to strengthen its partnership with the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF. And away from football and sports, let's shift our attention now to international relations, as Vice President Yemi Osinbajo Thursday arrived Ghana for the extraordinary summit of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government on the political situation in the Republic of Guinea. Professor Osinbajo had participated last week at the previous ECOWAS Extraordinary Summit virtually on the situation in Guinea and Mali. A physical meeting on Thursday reviewed the situation in Guinea in light of the report of the ECOWAS high-level mission to Conakry. The Vice President was received by the Deputy Information Minister of Ghana, Nana Asiama Adjei, the Nigeria High Commissioner to Ghana, and other top government officials. Back here in Nigeria, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has debunked reports that he likened IPOB and Yoruba Nation agitators with Boko Haram insurgents and ISWAP. The Speaker, upon resumption at Thursday's plenary, cleared the air, insisting that he was absolutely misquoted. Gbajabiamila said there are criminal elements different from the genuine agitators who have chosen to cause mayhem leading to deaths and destruction. And those were the people he referred to in his speech earlier on Tuesday. He termed those intentionally quoting him out of context as carrying out uninspiring and junk journalism. The Speaker ever urged journalists to ensure quality reportage by reporting what is true in the discharge of their duties.
If not for the fact that my thoughts sometimes there's a more airy agenda when people are falsely and intentionally misquoted. This, for me, is nothing more than what I call yellow journalism, yellow and uninspiring journalism, and that belittles a profession which we all love and respect so much. It's rather unfortunate.
Away from the Green Chamber, a Nigerian senator has faulted the Senate for being too hasty in approving loan request by the present government. Borno South Senator Ali Ndube made this submission Thursday while addressing the media in Abuja. Galaxy's Godfrey Shomogi reports that the senator said the essence of borrowing is to ensure proper use and that querying the real intent of such is in order.
What I'm worried about, again, is the way the Senate is handling it. The Senate, by the definition, is house of deliberation. When things like this come, we don't just rush and say, oh, because you want to be good, and you just approve it. No, you are supposed to look at it critically, cross the T's, dot the I's, ask questions, carry the people that you are representing along to say, look, they brought this to borrow. Do we agree? That means, those that elected you. Not that we just sit down here and just do it.
Ndume, who is chairman of the Senate Committee on Army, hailed the military onslaught against bandits in the northwestern part of the country. He, however, faulted the rights abuse argument being published in the media.
We are facing serious problem of banditry in this country, and it affects all of us. Then when the army stands up to the occasion and starts taking the fight to the bandits and achieving results, the next thing you people start talking about is, oh, human rights, mass killing and all that. So what do you want the military to do? Not to do the fight? Not to have casualties in the course of the fight? Honestly, you are my friends, but I'm blunt. But you know how life, these people have made life.
Well, let's stay with Nigeria's borrowing plan. As President Muhammadu Buhari seeking the approval of the National Assembly to borrow another $4 billion and 710 million euros loan from bilateral and multilateral organizations to fund the deficit in the 2021 budget. Joining us live from Ijebu area in Ogun State to give further insights to this development is Professor Sheriff Dean Teller, a professor of economics from the Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agoiwoye. Prof, thank you so much for agreeing to speak with us on Galaxy TV News. Nigeria's external loan stock is set to hit an all-time high of $45 billion following President Buhari's request for fresh external borrowing to the tune of over $4 billion. I wonder what you make of this development.
Thank you for inviting me. Actually, it has been reported that it is part and parcel of the budget at the initial stage. But the fact is that must we always borrow? Must we spend all the money in the budget? The budget is just an estimate. If we cannot meet up with some of the expenditure, we can always pass it to the next level. The level of borrowing is of concern to everybody. The National Assembly said, oh, we are still within the range. I don't know what range they mean. They might be talking about the debt to GDP ratio. They fix at 21%. Even 21% is very high. But that is not important. What is important is that when you have your revenue very low, then you have to stop some of these things. The GDP is just one of the variables or one of the measures, but you have to look at the ratio of debt to revenue. Revenue is dwindling, therefore, we must look at the debt ratio to the revenue. If you are paying up to 70% of our debt as we are doing now, there can't be development. And that is not good enough, particularly when it comes to external borrowing. They will say we need the money for infrastructure development and all those things. It's okay, but we can raise some money in the local market. There was a time the interest rate on local loan was about 4% and it was oversubscribed, which means we have plenty of money here. But the argument can be that, okay, if you look, we cannot use local money to buy imported items. what are we really importing? We have to look at them. Most of the time that we talk about imported items, they are largely food items. And when we are talking of even petroleum products, we should make sure that we encourage those who are having refinery here to start the refinery in time. When you start giving people like when you start giving a company like Dangote that want to have a refinery here opportunity to import some petroleum products, what are you saying? You are saying that it's cheaper for them to make money there because that is cheaper really to make money there than to make money here. You're supposed to ban all those things and let them start production so that all these things that we are importing that are also petroleum products that are useful even for construction of road, they start producing it here. So we are not thinking of revenue, we are thinking of borrowing, and I think that it has become an addiction to the Nigerian government. An addiction is then that we don't think of other things in terms of how do we generate more revenue. The first thing that we think of is where do we get money to borrow? If other countries are borrowing, if they are not having savings, do we have the opportunity of borrowing? I think there's need for National Assembly to also look at this and make sure that we are doing the right thing before they start approving any loan.
A vast majority are of the view that debt servicing is now a burden. I wonder what you think Nigeria can do to finance capital expenditure. And then just to add to that question, if these borrowings continue, will Nigeria not go bankrupt sooner or later?
Well, we may not go bankrupt in the way you are saying, but the fact that we will weigh down with debt in such a way that we will not be able to develop anything. Presently, they are battling to repay debt, to service debt, and that is why nothing is being done even with the little money that we have, because they are also borrowing to pay for some recurrent expenditure. That is why in recent times they have been borrowing from central bank. They have even overshot the central bank borrowing level, which is not good enough. So we're already in serious trouble, and then we have to sit down and look at it. Must we do everything at once? Can't we share some other things? Can't we look at even our expenditure profile and see where we're going to cut down? Those are the things that we should do. So I think that the country may not go bankrupt. The country does not go bankrupt that way, but the fact that you have a problem, and that problem is problem of development, you won't develop at all. You continue to generate money. Even by the time you are generating revenue, you are spending that revenue to offset debt, which is not good enough.
Yes, Prof, just one final question. Can I ask you about the role of the National Assembly? Just a moment ago, we saw an APC senator there, Alain Dume, querying the approval rate of the Assembly. I mean, that's an arm of government that should also check to serve as check and balances to the other arms of government. I wonder what role you think that the Senate can actually play in such developments.
Yeah, the rate at which they approve this budget clearly indicates that they don't even worry about the previous debt. How were they executed? How were they spent? Were they properly visually spent? So they don't ask questions. They just say, oh, it's part of the budget. Oh, because they also benefit one way or the other. If you're able to get external loan, as it were, then the money in the country will be free for them to be able to use and pay their salary, get their all those allowances and all those. So I think they're looking from that angle. They are supposed to scrutinize the thing. When it comes, whether it has been budget or not, they are supposed to take their time to scrutinize it. They are supposed to also get public opinion. If you have the mind that, okay, this issue is there, and public will not say no, that is democracy. You say, well, let us step it down for now, and let us see. But they don't even check any book. They don't even listen to public opinion. It's as if the mindset is that, we must get it low. And that's why I said that it seems that the government in Nigeria is addicted to borrowing.
All right. Professor Sherifdeen Taylor, Professor of Economics from the Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agowe, thank you so much for your views and insights.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're watching the news on Galaxy TV. Let's take a breather, but in the second part of our news package, Appeal Court sitting in Abuja reserves ruling concerning empowerment of state to collect value-added tax. VAT will tell you more of that story on the other side. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching the news on Galaxy TV. Now, for more updates and latest news, visit our website at www.galaxytvonline.com or subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Galaxy TV Nigeria. You can follow and interact with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Galaxy TV. Don't forget to follow and tag us on our Instagram page at Official Galaxy TV. If you have breaking news around you, you can avail our eyewitness feature via WhatsApp. Simply share your story by sending short clips or videos of the news on 0818-666-669. Our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your live update and comment. Now let's shift our focus to court matters as the appeal court sitting in Abuja has reserved ruling on a motion by Attorney General of Lagos State, Moyesore Onibanjo, seeking to be joined as interested party in an appeal concerning the empowerment of states to collect value-added tax, VAT. Galaxy's Godfrey Shemogi reports that a three-member panel of the appeal court, headed by Justice Haruna Samani, Thursday in Abuja, reserved ruling after listening to oral summaries of the written addresses of interested parties. We have details in this report.
The Lagos State Attorney General is coming with a motion for joinder on grounds that the state is entitled to collect VAT, noting it's empowered to do so with the annulment of the VAT Act following the judgment of August 9th at the High Court in Rivers State. The Attorney General said a party seeking to be joined as a respondent must show that its interests will be affected by the decision of a said case. Mr. Onibanjo said the motion for joinder also seeks to prevent what he termed multiplicity of litigation that will result from Lagos going ahead to begin collecting VAT, having passed the VAT Act. Lagos also prayed the court to restrain the Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS) from revenue collection, pending determination of the current appeal. Attorney General of Rivers State, who is one of the respondents in the main appeal, equally throws its weight in the moves by his counterpart from Lagos to be joined as one of the respondents.
The court discharged its duties effectively and efficiently. There is an application by Lagos State to join the appeal, and that application has been taken, and the court reserved ruling as to whether to join Lagos State or not. Thereafter, we will proceed with the matters. That is the simple thing that took place today in court. I am satisfied.
We are waiting for the court. The court have said that whoever have anything to write, everybody is free to bring whatever you want to bring in. No more. So we wait for the direction from the court. If there's an application, we'll have the right to respond to. We're saying let everybody be on the same level first. Then we can take up. Assuming Lagos is joined, we'll start all over again. And we're set for it.
Attorney General of the Federation, who is opposing the motion for joinder, is one of the respondents in the main appeal. He had his address struck out and deemed incompetent for being filed out of time. Recall that the decision of the High Court in Rivers State on August 9th empowered the state government to collect VAT, a decision Lagos State indicated interest in implementing. Godfrey Shemogi, Galaxy News, Abuja.
And now to security stories. Barely a year after 6 Nigerians were jailed by government of the United Arab Emirates for funding Boko Haram activities in the country, another set of 6 have been placed on terrorists by authorities of the Gulf country. The decision is part of UAE's efforts in disrupting networks associated with the financing of terrorism and forestalling whatever plans they might have. Galaxy's Daniel Tanimo completes the story.
Authorities in the United Arab Emirates on Monday named 6 Nigerians with ties to the insurgent group Boko Haram as terrorist financiers. They have been found guilty by a court of law for setting up a Boko Haram cell in the United Arab Emirates to raise funds and material assistance for the insurgents in Nigeria. Report shows that in the United Arab Emirates, there are laws put in place for regulatory authorities to monitor and identify any individuals or entities found in fraudulent acts or terrorism, and the necessary measures to take according to the laws enforced in the country, which is the country's commitment to target and dismantle networks that finance terrorism and its related activities. In recent times, most hard-working Nigerians are exempted from lucrative jobs in the United Arab Emirates because some individuals have engaged in terrorism, fraudulent activities, cultism, prostitution, and many more. Speaking with the former Director General of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, Professor Bola Akintarinwa, who highlighted the implications this will have on the bilateral relationship between Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates, adding that the government have no political will to handle the problem of insecurity in the country.
When we are talking about capacity, capability to address the problem the way Saudi Arabia has done, the question I will simply put is this: is Nigeria's problem that of capacity? Is Nigeria's problem that of capability? I wouldn't want to see it as Saudi Arabia having greater capacity, greater capability than what Nigeria has. Nigeria's problem is the extent to which there is political will. It's shameful. And now we have this type of situation. So why is it that political will is not there to prepare and launch an unprecedented, aggressive invasion of wherever the Boko Haramis may be hiding, where they are operating from?
A legal practitioner, Barrister Yemi Omodele, who emphasized on the need for the government to use technology to fish out those financing the insurgents.
It's shameful for the United Arab Emirates to discover what Nigeria could not do for years. It is shameful, despite the money expended on technology in this country, and no good results being brought out. It's unfair. Now, I can tell you that Nigeria has those technologies, but they don't want to use them. They don't want to use them because of their own atrocities. The officials in charge, they don't want to use them. That is the major cause of the problem. And what is the cause of this problem is corruption.
Akintarinwa and Omodele both call on the government to strengthen the fight against terrorism, and they commend the United Arab Emirates for protecting their territory. They called on other countries to help Nigeria in identifying and publishing names of whoever is found guilty of this act.
If hardly 12 months ago, we are having a new set of Nigerians, 6 of them, being found guilty already at the level of the sending state to have been funding terrorism in Nigeria, funding insecurity in Nigeria, funding Boko Haramism in Nigeria, funding herdsmen, farmers dispute. I think such a country, Saudi Arabia, for instance, should be specially commended.
But if Nigeria were to be transparent, the country can liaise with the United Arab Emirates with a view to get details of how they were able to carry out their findings and inquiries and be able to discover that this and these persons were responsible for the sponsorship of the Boko Haramists.
Daniel Tanimu for Galaxy TV News, Lagos.
In the meantime, the House of Representatives has asked the federal government to establish a mobile police unit in the Guyuk area of the Adamawa state. This is in response to a motion of urgent national importance moved by Representative Gibeon Goroki, representing Guyuk and Shelling Federal Constituency. He said the latest was an attack on Dumna community with a huge threat on food security following destruction of farms. The House also asked the Northeast Development Commission to give relief items and materials to victims in the area.
Mr. Speaker, these same people, they have taken another dimension Apart from killing, now they are destroying farmlands, crops that are about yielding. They are destroying them. And not quite a week ago, they killed a young man, son to Mr. Albert, in which the mother, on hearing the only son she had, she collapsed and died. It's only through the grace of God that Mr. Albert is living.
And now to other stories. Minister of Works and Housing Babajide Fashola says the federal government requires 56 billion naira for the full reconstruction of the deplorable Lagos-Ota-Abeokuta Expressway. Fashola spoke alongside Ogun State Governor Dr. Abiodun at the inspection of Shagamu interchange bridges on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Fashola explained that the federal government is not looking away on the deplorable conditions of the Lagos-Songo-Ota-Abeokuta road, added that the government is committed towards fixing the road as a total of 13.4 billion naira has been approved for immediate commencement of palliatives. He said the federal government was ready to borrow money to fix the deplorable road, which had elicited several protests by residents and motorists.
The bad sections from Ota, from the roundabout towards Abeokuta, we've done an inventory the whole of last week. That's what we were working on. Our directors were here. How to remove those bad sections, reconstruct them, build the drainage, ensure that the place can discharge water. It's going to cost us about 13.4 billion. 13 billion, 340 million and some naira. So just to let you know, we are on top of it.
If this Sukuk bonds will not happen immediately, the state government is willing to go and borrow against that promise so that we can facilitate the contractor. So that way the contractor can hit the ground running while the Sukuk bond that comes in and offsets that loan. I wasn't going to share that with you, but I know our people are so impatient. I need to hear something.
Now, former Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, has declared that the healthcare system in Nigeria is fast degenerating, thereby calling for immediate help. Speaking at the second biennial conference of the Medical Women's Association of Nigeria held in Ibadan, Professor Adewale emphasized the need for a collaborative approach towards addressing problems confronting the sector. Our correspondent Kunle Ojo tells us more in this report.
The former Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, maintained that out of the 7 pillars in the health sector, the health workforce remained the most critical, hence the need for synergy between the government and the practitioners. Apparently concerned with the lingering face-off between the doctors and the federal government, Adewale declared that the country's health sector needs urgent attention. In her presentation, Dr. Ibukun Awoshika stressed the need for leaders to ensure equity and equal representation of all genders in running the affairs of the country. She challenged members of the association to recognize the uniqueness of their position and work together as a team towards enhancing socio-economic development in the country.
The health system comprises 7 main pillars: healthcare financing, health workforce, access to essential medicines, information management systems, service delivery, leadership and governance, and critical health research. Of these 7 pillars, the health workforce is the most critical. We are at a critical junction in Nigeria, and our healthcare system is begging for help.
Any organization that has great diversity in its leadership, that involves men and women and allows them to come from the different perspectives and combine their knowledge, profits better and performs better. And in the midst of this pandemic, records have shown that the nations that outperformed every other nation were nations that were led by women across the world.
The international president of the association, Dr. Elano Nwadinobi, charged members of the body in Oyo State and Nigeria at large to renew their commitment to enhancing healthcare needs of women and children in the country. Other speakers at the event expressed concern on the state of health sector in the country, while they appealed to the government and other stakeholders to do the needful.
Anyone has a key role to play in dispelling the wrong information that has led today to challenges such as vaccine hesitancy. We have to also join other feminist organizations to speak up about the unequal access to health and life-saving vaccines. With the hoarding of vaccines.
Where are the mothers in the land? Where are the mothers? Why is there so much crying and weeping and tears and banditry and chaos and confusion? Have we left our places? The theme for this year's conference is leadership and governance. But where are the mothers?
This is coming at a perilous time in the history of our dear great nation, when the dignity and nobility of the medical profession in Nigeria is being threatened. A time of avoidable, incessant industrial action in the health sector due to the insensitivity of the government and their failure to honor agreements.
The event has in attendance members of the association across the country. From Ibadan, Kunle Ojo, Galaxy TV.
The meantime, Minister of State for Environment Sharon Ike-Azor recently announced that 25% of diseases in Nigeria are caused by mycotoxins, which are substances that grow on food naturally if they are not well packaged and stored. Galaxy's Ireba Misalako tells us more in this report.
Mycotoxins are toxic compounds that are naturally produced by certain type of molds or fungi. They could grow on foods, nuts, spices and dried fruits before or after harvest when they are not properly stored, which could be dangerous to human health.
Mycotoxins are a kind of what we call fungi, a big family of fungi molds. They produce the germs called mycotoxins. So like the typical example is if you keep a bread for some time and a few days after you see something will start growing on the bread, those are called molds. When you eat such food, you will get infected with mycotoxins because those molds release germs called substances called mycotoxins. It can affect virtually any part of the system. It can affect the lungs. The people can have problem breathing. Some people, their own way of manifesting it is that they are vomiting and stooling. And someone will say, you took food poison. It can just be mycotoxins. People, so it can weigh someone down, can manifest in different systems.
You see, the reality is when you begin to cut corners, that's when you begin to have problems. There is what you call food grade, preservatives. It's there. But you see, food grade preservatives sometimes are more expensive. So somebody wants to cut corners, and what does he do? He begins to introduce something, okay, after some time, the thing will leave my shop. But when it leaves your shop, it's going to someone else, and that's where the problem starts.
Fighting an enemy that can't be seen could be very tricky and dangerous. But there are some important steps that need to be taken to safeguard our health.
Most of the time, poor storage facility, you now see they will not sort out the healthy from the unhealthy crop produce. So they can contaminate and it will spread. So if they have good storage facilities, and also when they harvest, to be able to identify the ones that are not okay and separate from the ones that are okay, they are likely going to reduce that. And then transportation, efficient transportation will also help them.
Whoever is providing a service should be responsible enough, to make sure that we don't pass out, certain things to people that will cause them to be ill. The issue of the government agencies, they have to do more. Information is better than, for me, policing. Now, once you get information out there, people are aware of certain things. Many people die out of carelessness. They don't know that, look, if I take this is what will happen to me. They don't know those things. So we need to put information out there that will, help our people.
The fight isn't for the individual alone. The government should ensure all hands are on deck to check on food management in the country, so a healthy nation with healthy people will emerge. Ireba Misalako, Galaxy TV News, Lagos.
Now, residents of Delta State are expressing mixed reactions with plans to implement compulsory vaccination by the Delta State government. Statistics, according to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, as of Thursday, shows that Delta State has 3,223 confirmed COVID-19 cases with about 85 deaths. Hence, the state government is contemplating measures to check the increase. Correspondent Daily Faso sent in this report.
The planned implementation of compulsory vaccination by the Delta State government have attracted mixed reactions from unvaccinated and vaccinated Deltans who now come out in their numbers to get vaccinated. This is coming as neighboring Edo State government now asks for vaccination card from residents who intend doing business in government organizations as a means of checking the increasing number of infection and mortality rate, which has hit 54 since the third wave began. Although both the old and the young now find time to visit primary healthcare centers across the 25 local government areas of Delta State, but some still do not want to take the vaccine for fear of what they describe as death after the vaccine, despite millions of Nigerians who have taken it without any recorded death. Speaking on the planned compulsory vaccination, the head Warri South Primary Healthcare Center termed it as a welcome development, while some vaccinated Deltans express their views.
Yes, it's actually a welcome development based on the number of cases we are seeing that are increasing. And the only way the government can really put a hand on this and make it go down is through this vaccination process.
I won't say they should enforce it, like make it compulsory, because not everybody is sure of it. You can't just force people to take what they are not sure of. I think they should find a better way, rather to maybe convince the citizens, convince the people that yes, this thing is really infected, and make them see need to really take this vaccine.
It's a good development. I think this is my second time of taking it now. I took the first one in the month of March. 6 months later, I came for the second round. So I think that I've never experienced anything.
Statistics according to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control shows that Delta State has over 3,223 confirmed COVID-19 cases with 85 deaths, and the state government is contemplating measures to check the increase. A recently vaccinated civil servant frowned at the conception over the COVID vaccines as the head of the health center lament over shortage of manpower.
There is really big misconception about COVID-19 vaccine, and it's all lies. For somebody to come that after taking it, your hand will now magnet your phone or light will be on, it's all lies. That after 2 weeks you will die, it's all lies. In reality, COVID-19 is really taking lives of people. So it will be good for us to come here and have the vaccine. And the vaccine is even free of charge. You don't have to pay a dime.
It's actually slow because the manpower on ground is not able to actually cater for the population that are coming to the vaccination sites. I believe with increased manpower, as you can see, the facility we're using here is the health center, which also is serving its primary purpose. So space is limited.
The move by the federal government in taking the vaccines to churches is one of the measures, according to the Delta State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Modi Onoye, in a statement that will ensure more people embrace the vaccine to prevent the spread of the virus. From Warri in Delta State, Daily Faso reporting for Galaxy Television.
Well, let's stay with the COVID-19 pandemic. As part of measures to curtail the spread of the virus, especially the Delta variant on the campus, authorities of the University of Ibadan have set up a task force to enforce compliance to all protocols of COVID-19. The acting Vice Chancellor of the institution, while inaugurating the committee, charged them to see their assignment as critical and as service to humanity. Correspondent Kunlojo tells us more.
The COVID-19 Emergency Response Committee by the university management remain a pragmatic approach to respond adequately, effectively and efficiently to curbing the spread of the virus and thereby make the university community a safe place for teaching, learning and research activities. Addressing members of the committee, the acting vice-chancellor of the institution, Professor Adebola Ekanla, who was represented by the Dean of Student Affairs, Professor Adekaye Abiono, said coronavirus has become a global issue, hence the need to activate all safety measures. He disclosed that the task force supervisors have been selected across academic and non-teaching staff of the university to oversee and report activities of the task force teams.
Part of the offshoot of our discussion or agreement was this committee that is being inaugurated today. We at the vanguard, please. We have to be up and doing. If you visit faculties now, offices, you find that people are not complying with the COVID preventive measures. They are not complying at all. Last week when I was in my faculty, I had to come a number of students. In fact, I was...
The acting vice-chancellor of the institute charged the team to ensure compliance with COVID-19 protocols, adding that the institution cannot afford losing a soul to the virus. In a remark, the coordinator, University of Ibadan COVID-19 Emergency Committee, Professor Victoria Adetunji, said inaugurating COVID-19 task force has become essential for the smooth and impactful operation of the committee. She added that this will prevent the spread of the virus within the campus, while the Dean, College of Veterinary Medicine, Professor Olubumi Ola Davis, represented by Professor Alex Adedapo, expressed concern on the attitude of some Nigerians to COVID-19 vaccines.
Especially considering the peculiarity of university community that is characterized by a large population. Instituting the COVID-19 Emergency Response Committee by the University Management since March 2020 is part of the university's effort to respond adequately, effectively, and efficiently to curbing the spread of COVID-19 on the University of Ibadan campus.
It's very funny, even among high caliber scientists that should know using this medium to ask the task force whatever you can do to going to play with the people to take this vaccine. Thank God our university has been doing very much to ensure that everybody is covered.
They stressed the need for more awareness and sensitization on the need for Nigerians to change their attitude regarding the COVID-19 vaccines. From Ibadan, Kunle Ojo, Galaxy TV.
And now let's join our international desk for more reports.
This is international news. About 3,000 health workers in France have been suspended because they have not been vaccinated against COVID-19. A new rule which came into force on Wednesday made vaccination mandatory for the countries to put 7 million health, care home and fire service staff. But French Health Minister Olivier Véran said on Thursday that most of the suspensions are only temporary. Many are now agreeing to get jabbed because they see that the vaccination mandate is a reality, he said. The rule applies to all doctors, nurses, office staff and volunteers. President Emmanuel Macron first gave workers notice of the rule change on 12 July, warning them that they needed to get at least one jab by 15th September or resign from their jobs. After the president's announcement, Dr. Lieb, the website people used to book their jobs, crashed as so many people tried to secure an appointment. But with the mandate now in place and thousands still refusing to get the vaccine, there are fears of a disruption in healthcare services. In just one hospital in Nice in southern France, for example, almost 450 workers have been suspended, sparking protests outside the building. And in another southern city, Montelima, one hospital confirmed that it had already begun cancelling non-urgent operations because of a shortage in vaccinated anesthetists. When the vaccines were first rolled out globally, France was one of the most vaccine-skeptical countries in the world. Then about 40% of eligible people said they planned to get immunized, according to a survey by IPSOS. But since the introduction of a COVID-19 health pass in July, France has become one of the world's most vaccinated countries. Almost 90% of all adults have now had at least one jab. France has also started vaccinating children aged 12 and over and is administering booster jabs to vulnerable people. Now to other matters, the head of the Islamic State group in the Sahara has been killed by French troops, President Emmanuel Macron has said. Adnan Abu Walid al-Sarawi formed Islamic State in the Greater Sahara ISGS in 2015. The group is blamed for most attacks in the region, including the targeted killing of French aid workers in 2020. Macron called Sahrawi's death another major success in our fight against terrorist groups in the Sahel. The Sahel is a vast 3 million square meter, 1.16 million square miles area that stretches across Africa south of the Sahara Desert from Senegal in the west of Somalia in the east. Macron did not disclose the location or any details of the operation. French Defense Minister Florence Parly tweeted that Sahrawi died after a strike by France's Operation Barkhane Force, which fights Islamic militants in the Sahel, mostly in Mali, Niger, Chad, and Burkina Faso. She added that it was a decisive blow against this terrorist group and that the fight continues. Sahrawi was born in the disputed territory of Western Sahara in 1973 and had been a member of the Polisario Front, which is fighting for independence from Morocco. He later joined Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb AKIM and co-lead Mujao, a Malian Islamist group responsible for kidnapping Spanish aid workers in Algeria and a group of Algerian diplomats in Mali in 2012. China has now denounced a historic security pact between the US, UK and Australia, describing the alliance as extremely irresponsible and narrow-minded. The pact announced on Wednesday will see the US and the UK provide Australia with the technology to build nuclear-powered submarines for the first time. It has been widely viewed as an effort to counter China's influence in the contested South China Sea. The region has been a flashpoint for years and tensions there remain high. On Thursday, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Zhao Linjian said the newly announced alliance risked severely damaging regional peace and intensifying the arms race. He criticized what he called the obsolete Cold War mentality and warned the three countries were hurting their own interests. Chinese state media carried editorials denouncing the pact, and one of the Global Times newspaper said Australia had now turned itself into an adversary of China. The new partnership under the name AUKUS was also announced in a joint virtual press conference between US President Joe Biden, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, and his Australian counterpart Scott Morrison on Wednesday. And while China was not mentioned directly, the three leaders referred repeatedly to the regional security concerns, which they said had grown significantly. This is an historic opportunity for the three nations with like-minded allies and partners to protect shared values and promote security and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region, a joint statement read. And finally, from the international scene, Somalia's President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed has suspended Prime Minister Mohamed Hussein Robo's power to hire and fire officials, the latest development in a destabilizing feud that has plunged this country into fresh crisis. The dispute between the two leaders marks an escalation of months of tension, threatening to throw an already fragile electoral process into deeper peril. The Prime Minister has violated the transitional constitution, so his executive powers are withdrawn, especially his powers to remove and appoint officials until the election is completed, the Office of the President, popularly known as FAMAJO, said in a statement. It added the suspension will last until the conclusion of elections later in the year. FAMAJO's 4-year mandate expired in February, but was extended by Parliament in April, triggering deadly gun battles in the capital, Mogadishu, with some rivals viewing it as a flagrant power grab. Elections in Somalia follow a complex indirect model whereby state legislatures and clan delegates pick lawmakers for the national parliament, who in turn choose the president. The next phase is scheduled for between October 1st and November 25. And that's it from the international scene at this time.
And now to wrap things off, let's join the entertainment desk for more stories.
Welcome to Entertainment News. The federal government has said that the ban on operations of social media giant Twitter in the country will be lifted soon. Minister of Information Lai Mohammed gave the update while responding to a question by State House correspondent on the status of the ongoing talks between Twitter and the government. Mohammed said Twitter gave a progressive report which has been productive and quite respectful. He also assured Nigerians that the time Twitter operations will be restored is by far much shorter. He as well assured that they are working very hard to put a closure on the matter as they are mindful of the anxiety of Nigerians. Nollywood actress Tonto Dike has alleged that her ex-lover Prince is threatening to release her nude pictures. The actress's relationship with Prince crashed last month, said this in a petition to the police. Tonto, in a petition to the police issued by her legal team, accused Prince of blackmail, extortion and obtaining by force pretense. The petition also demanded that Prince releases a Hilux truck belonging to DK in his possession. Reports of the activist's arrest by the Department of State Service first broke on Wednesday, September 16, 2021. He, however, denied the report. Meanwhile, Okonjo-Iweala, who is currently the Director General of the World Trade Organization, was named alongside world leaders like United States President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping in Time's September 15 publication. Okonjo-Iweala is the only Nigerian on 2021 The Times 100 Most Influential People in the World. She tweeted moments after the publication that she was honored and privileged to have made the covers of the magazine. An appraisal written by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle applauded Okonjo-Iweala's role in campaigning for equitable vaccine access across the world. Prince Harry and Meghan mentioned that their conversation with her had been as informative as they are energizing. This is partly because despite the challenges, she knows how to get things done, even between those who don't always agree, and does so with grace and a smile that warms the coldest of roots. Big Brother Naija update is that the Big Brother Naija Shine Your Eye housemate Saga and Nini have both been issued a punishment for failing the secret tax given by Big Brother. The two housemates have been punished for Saga's failure to keep up with the secret prank tax he was assigned during his diary session with Big Brother. Barely a day into the prank, Nini had a clash with a fellow housemate crossover bathroom cleaning. This led to Saga having to break character in order to calm her down. In the process, he also revealed why he had been given her attitude, as she had claimed in a confrontation with him early in the day. He further speculated that Liku Rose, who was also avoiding her love interest Emmanuel, was given the same tax during the diary section. On Thursday 16th, the housemate woke up to a garden in utter disarray with a letter by Big Brother set on the stool. The letter, which was addressed to Saga and Nini, instructed that they both clean the scattered rooms without any help from other housemates. They are only allowed to go for short bathroom breaks while the punishments last. However, at least one person must be in the room at all times till it is cleaned up. And finally, on entertainment news, Wendy Williams has tested positive for a breakthrough case of COVID-19. The Wendy Williams Show announced that the 57-year-old talk show host is postponing the 13th season of a popular daytime talk show in order for her to get better and to quarantine. Season 13 of The Wendy Williams Show was scheduled to start on September 20, and the date has now been moved to October 4th to allow Wendy time to quarantine and fully recover, and to ensure that the production abides by the SAG, AFTRA, and DGA COVID-19 protocols. And that'll be all on entertainment news.
And with that report, we conclude our news at this time. On behalf of the production team and everyone here, thank you so much for your company. We urge you to please keep safe. I am Kelly Egiga, and I will see you again next time. Bye.